Yo, what's poppin'? All my Patriot peeps. It is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts. Joined as always by the man who's pretty fly for a science guy, the doctor of Patrionomics, Mr. Soor Vora, and we are the Gillette Gazette, back for another episode. Soor, what's poppin'?
Yeah, man, I'm very excited for the draft. It's one of those times of the year that's just like you get to you get to see those future players and may not think much of some of them when they're being drafted, but 10 years down the road we may end up looking back to this draft, and this also just feels like one of the more important drafts for the Patriots because this is one of those drafts where you can look at a number of position groups and say, yeah, we need improvement here, we need improvement here, we need improvement here, and that's not always been the case for New England. So I'm definitely looking forward to this draft. A lot of good players out there. Um, yeah. Other than that, of course, got my eyes on my Celtics and Bruins. Not going to talk about the Celtics right now.
Yeah, okay. Can we kind of talk about it? Because I was watching it and I was like, you know what? I'm having a good night. Celts are up. I'm going to nod off a little bit here and go to bed. And I woke up and you're texting me, what the fuck? You have my buddies in the group chat, like, like, they're going bananas. And then the best of the West, she's even texting me, like, I can't deal with this. And I'm like, we were winning when I fell asleep. What the hell happened?
Yeah, Tatum just stopped shooting down the stretch. I mean, he wasn't shooting well all game. Celtics are hurrying their possessions. Trae Young went berserk, and
It was one
it's
of those.
just a Celtics choke job, man. Playing
Okay.
playing playing with their food. Can't play with your food in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, you can't. There's no room for that in the playoffs. But okay. So that they lost, whatever. We get another game. It's okay. The Bruins, oh, they're on right now. I got them tied up. So it's actually funny. I was recording the wrestling pod uh, before this, and as I'm wrapping up and doing my little end of the show spiel, you just hear, and you know what I'm talking about when I say this, or you just hear footsteps banging on the ceiling down here, and I'm like, all right, what just happened? Because the Bruins scored. My dad obviously watching on cable. I'm on Xbox One streaming service, YouTube TV, and he's just clearing the puck. So I literally was like, all right, they're gonna score. And now I just like focus on waiting to see it happen. I didn't see the first one though, but it looked kind of bullshit. I just really hope the Bruins win. It's the 65 win thing. Anytime a team has the most wins in a season or the most points or an MVP, you always get a little bit more cautious when as the Panthers fucking score. But you always get more conscious about them and the playoffs. And I'll even expand it and talk about it in the NFL sense because it feels like that's the same way, not only just hockey or NFL, but all sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Celtics are dealing with that a little bit too. They had. I mean, they're not the first seed, but they had a really good regular season. And at one point, they were looking like the easily the best team in the NBA. And it's hard in a city like Boston to deal with the championship pressure that comes with being a top team. In the case of the Bruins, though, I do feel like unlike other top teams of years past in the NHL, this is just a dominant Bruins team that just has no close equal. And so if they, for me, with the Celtics, it's if they don't win the championships, it's disappointing. It's something I really wanted to happen. But with the Bruins, it's something that it almost will feel wrong. It'll feel like after all this season, they broke basically every record there is to break. It doesn't feel right to have a champion that's not them. So I really hope they can close it out. They not starting out how they need to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, that goal sucks. That was a bad goal to end the period too. That's really bad. And I'm just gonna keep the bad going
They're also
with.
playing with their they're also playing with their food a little bit.
They really are. We have to talk about this, Soor. The hottest news of the day or a couple of days. Aaron Rodgers is in the AFC East. It's finally a New York Jets, Soor. But do we really care?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel.
He's an improvement over Zach Wilson. I'll give them that. Big one. But
you go. Yeah.
I think in an effort to knock down the Patriots even further, people are overestimating what Aaron Rodgers right now truly is. Obviously, in his prime, he was a legendary quarterback. And I may end up eating my words by the end of the season. But for now, let's remember what happened last season and when Rodgers didn't have the bona fide top receiver in the NFL, one of the top receivers in the NFL, and Devontae Adams, that Packers offense wasn't really doing all that much. It wasn't really humming for large parts of the season. And I mean, the Packers not only didn't win their division, they didn't even make the playoffs. And so this is not a team that I look at Rodgers and I no longer see the killer that I saw maybe in years past. And even, we know how Rodgers is with the big situations. We know, even in his prime, but I don't think he's in his prime right now. I think everybody assumes that players will age like Brady does. Brady, I will say this for the millionth time, Brady is an exception when it comes to every single aspect of his career, and his longevity is another one of those aspects where you can expect a player to play in their late 30s, nearing 40, like they did when they were 27. And Rodgers is not going to be playing like he did when they were 27. Did the Jets make the playoffs when Brett Favre came over?
Did they? Yeah, they did, right?
No. They didn't. That's my point.
Oh, Sanchez.
Sanchez
That was
made the playoffs.
Sanchez.
But Favre didn't. Not with the Jets. Parallel. This feels like parallel paths to me. Aaron Rodgers is in a Favre-like state. In his last couple of years in Green Bay, he was in that rough divisional, maybe NFC Championship game in a good year picture. Never really a serious Super Bowl contender. And Rodgers right now, he's not good enough to elevate a broken franchise towards stardom. And yeah, the Jets, they had bad quarterback play last year, but there were a lot of other problems plaguing them that people are kind of ignoring right now. They had very bad offensive line play. They weren't coached very well. Their defense was generally good, but didn't play the big situations very well. And that's why the Jets ended up being a 7-10 team last year.
It's just they to me their woes are more internally than on the field or externally, if you want to use that word. To me, you could put Rodgers in that offense. The defense is, I would say, close to top 10. They are really good defense. I give credit where credit's due, and they're really good defense. Sauce Gardner last year, incredible. But to me, when you stack them up against the rest of the league, they still, line up short. When I put them against teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, even their own division. I mean, the Dolphins are not a joke at all, really. I mean, regardless of the Tua rumors, if he retire, whatever, I don't think so. Whatever team gets Lamar Jackson, because that will be a contender immediatamente. when he signs there, wherever team, might be the Ravens still. The Bengals, like there's just so many teams. Notice how I didn't say Patriots there because we still have a lot of work to do. All right, let's.
Right.
You're going to be toughest on those you love the most, and that's how I feel about this Patriots team. When I talk about these guys, it's just I still think they can give the Jets a game, go 1-1 as of now, 1-1. But like when it comes to the Jets potentially being a playoff team, the Patriots are more of I feel like have a better shot.
Well, let's remember that the last time the Jets have beaten the Patriots ever is, I'll say 2015.
Oh, the coin flip game?
Yeah. I was at that game. That
Oh, was that your? Did you tell me that was your first game?
was my first Patriots game, yeah.
What a Patriots game to go to.
But even last year, when it felt like this is, last year felt like the opening. The Patriots were playing the worst football I've ever seen them play, other than the Cam Newton year. And even and there were some aspects of the team that were playing worse than the Cam Newton year. The trenches on the offense, especially. That last year was the year for the Jets to beat the Patriots, and the Patriots played two of the worst games I saw them play last year, and won them both. And yes, the Jets are getting better, but the schematic issues that the Patriots had last season are somewhat gone because we have an offensive coordinator. The offensive line is at least going to get better. We've added a couple of new players. There's a draft coming up. We have an offensive line coach. So you're not going to see those gaping holes. And here's the other big part. I think Rodgers will be able to outduel Mac Jones. I'm not going to get on my soapbox to that degree. But Robert Saleh is not going to be able to outduel Bill Belichick. And honestly, the Patriots will be winning all of the coordinator battles too now, because they already had a good defensive coaching staff with Steve and Mayo. Now they don't have to deal with Patricia being that awkward kind of third voice that they don't really know what to do with.
Yeah.
So two clear coaches on defense with two clear roles. And now they have a clear offensive coordinator for the first time since McDaniels, and good positional coaches too. And the Patriots will win all strategic battles. And so unless the Jets roster is just leaps and bounds better than the Patriots, which I don't think it is, I think it'll be a little bit better. I don't think the Jets can beat the Patriots this year.
I really hate the Jets. I just really hate the Jets. And I hate the fact that Rodgers is just walking in the footsteps of honestly one of my favorite football players ever. And the steps are so identical, it's scary. They both won a Super Bowl in this football season that they were both 27. They played for the Packers for 15 years plus. The first round draft pick that preceded them, like replaced them when they were injured in the playoff round, I'm pretty sure, the first week, whatever it was. And then there's like a couple other comparisons. Like, dude, it's freaky. It's just like you're trying to be Brett Favre. All right. Don't. All right. Do like, and I just am so sick of this Aaron Rodgers shit. You know, how he just goes on McAfee and he's like, trying to be this, character, but it's not, it's more like a dude, what are you doing type of character. I just am not, I feel like it's very forced. Is
Also,
a good
you
way
look
to
at some of Rodgers' behavior off the field, and it just you don't get that champion's instinct, and I really think he did have it earlier in his career.
Oh yeah.
And it's just that flame has kind of dimmed, and it's understandable. That's what happens to a normal player that isn't Tom Brady later in his career. But Rodgers, especially with some of the mental stuff he's been going through, all everything you've heard about his his little darkness retreats or whatever. This doesn't scream to you a player that's just dialed in. Neither does the kind of non-committal nature of, oh, I want this. I don't, I'm not really, I'm kind of a Jet. I want these players. And it's interesting because he kept saying, oh, I want Lazard. I want Lazard. While when he had Lazard, he was complaining about his wide receiver core as a Packer. Let's not do too much revisionist history on Alan Lazard. Lazard was a good player in the context of the Packers' kind of poor receiving core last year. But when you stack him up to the rest of the NFL, he's not an elite wide receiver. Even the same thing with Mecole Hardman. When Hardman was able to kind of function as a decoy, and there were guys like Tyreek Hill or last year Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce and all these other good weapons around him. Yeah, Hardman was able to kind of take advantage of being the third, fourth option. But really, when you look at the Jets receiver core, it really gets weak outside of Garrett Wilson. Even though you now have a lot of good number twos, but you really only have the one great receiver. Because Rodgers is on this team, we're now painting this new wonderful picture of what the Jets roster is, where you can't reduce the problems to just one cause. I mean, as much as I would like to say all that was wrong with New England was Patricia last year, no, there are other changes they have had to make and they still need to make. And similarly to the Jets, Rodgers is not just going to be a piece of flex tape to just mask all the Jets' problems and put them immediately into contention. That's not how this works. And there are quarterbacks who can get closer to that. But this current version of Rodgers is not that guy.
He's not. And I'm kind of over everybody talking about it. I am sick of, and I'm not sick of seeing the reaction of it, but the reaction of the Rodgers trade by the ESPN Countdown crew was so over the top. I mean, yeah, you're a Disney company, but let's not go full cinematic reaction mode, okay? Like, I'm sorry, but he went for a second. Fine, he's Aaron Rodgers. I think he should go for a second, third at the least. You swap first round picks. Great. I think that works for both sides anyways. And then a compensatory first round pick next year, as you probably should if Aaron Rodgers dominates for the Jets and the Packers kind of get stuck with it. Like, it makes sense. Like, to me, it wasn't a wild trade. It just felt like, all right, what's the bare bones to just make this happen? And I just, anyone who says, yo, that was crazy, or this team got fleeced or whatever, it's like, no one got fleeced. Maybe the Jets are going to get fleeced this year when they find out that Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers who owns Chicago. Okay. He, I think, will pay rent in New York by the end of this year, if you catch my drift. I did want to get to this comment because I have to shout out anyone who loves Brett Favre as much as I do. And if you have a Brett Favre ornament, goddamn Soor. That's fandom right there. And
yeah,
fun fact, Brett Favre was my first non-Patriots jersey. Wasn't my first non-Boston sports jersey. Now that's an interesting little rabbit hole I can go down after the Yard of Streams ends. But yeah, I'm over it. And I'm looking towards the draft, which, let's talk about it. More draft chat. Yay, Soor. We haven't talked about it for the past 2 months. We had a combine. We had pro days. We had interviews and team meetings and visits. It all culminates tomorrow with the NFL draft, and I am so happy to get it over with. I don't know about you. I'm just so happy to get it over with. And you alluded to this at the beginning of the show. I'm happy I waited to ask this because I think this could be a good discussion because you said it's an important draft for the Patriots. And it is an important draft not only for the Patriots, but a lot of teams. But do you think the star power, name power is not what it should be for such an important draft for multiple teams? I would say a majority of the league.
Yeah, I think at the positions that you really kind of look at, the ones that have like a ton of visibility. At quarterbacks, I do think there's some good ones in this draft, but there's nobody that screams out to me as just like surefire NFL franchise quarterback. And that's kind of what's missing. You usually do see that kind of star power, but you can kind of find faults in each of these contenders. Bryce Young, some injury proneness. He has size issues. You don't know whether things are going to translate outside of Bama, where a lot of quarterbacks have succeeded lately. But obviously, he's a Heisman. He won a Heisman in his freshman year. He's got good mobility. He's got a good arm. Like, obviously, he's a great quarterback. CJ Stroud's really good when he has protection, but as soon as it breaks down, he kind of falters. You saw that against Michigan last year. Will Levis has that raw arm talent and all that raw athleticism and everything. A lot of people, there's some rumors about him to the Patriots. I'm not even gonna spend a little moment on those. I think it's hogwash.
The champ denies your motion to talk about Will Levis.
It's the Josh Allen syndrome with guys like Levis and Richardson, where they look at a guy who had a lot of talent but struggled in college, but kind of had the work ethic to get really, really good and make the most of his talents, and they assume that it's okay that you weren't good in college if you have some raw talent because Josh Allen did. It took a lot for Josh Allen to become Josh Allen. It took Brian Daboll's mentorship. It took Josh Allen's work ethic. It took some luck. It took a Stephon Diggs. A lot of things had to happen. And overall, I just don't see a quarterback that just screams out to me. Similarly at receiver, there's some guys that I like. Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jalen Hyatt. I have an article coming out on late round receivers that I think could be really good. But this kind of goes to a whole theme of this draft class. There's a lot of good and not too much spectacular, which means that the Patriots can worry a little bit less about getting the star player and focus on getting good players at positions of need. And I think that's the kind of draft that Belichick likes. There are other teams that are like, oh, where's my star? Obviously, there are guys like Will Anderson on defense. There are some bona fide stars out there, like there are every year. But I think with Belichick, you almost want to draft where it's like, all right, it's my job to kind of find the value in these really good players, but not just screaming out to me fantastic and just earth-shattering players. Like, that obviously the year where Clowney was there, everybody knew from the very beginning of the year that Clowney was going to be the first draft pick. Next year, as much as I hate to say it, a lot of people are going to have their eyes on USC's Caleb Williams. I hope he tears an ACL, but whatever. I don't like USC, man. I really don't. But
I love when you get like you show your fandoms there a little bit. Like we're getting a little personality out of the science guy. Like it's nice to see where your alliances lie. Because I love getting into that.
But Williams is as much as I hate to admit it, Williams is kind of he's kind of has the look of a generational prospect. A couple really good years, a Heisman last year, and just overwhelming talent. And we don't see that this year. But Belichick's probably looking at this and salivating. It's like, I need to find the hidden gems where nobody else really sees the unreal value of these players. I'm going to find the 10 guys that I think are going to absolutely rock it in the NFL, and I'm going to get them for absurdly low picks. Belichick's salivating right now. And as I look at this draft class, so am I. There's a lot of depth.
That's what we want. That's the Patriot way, is just depth upon depth. That's what. But I see. In years prior, I would be anti-depth, and you need the big name just to have a big name to elevate the talent, whatnot. But this Patriots team to me does not seem like a team that is going to find that star talent in the draft. You're going to find gritty grinders who want to just work and want to put in whatever they have to get a Super Bowl and bring, the team back to the status that they previously had. To me, if you want to get that generational talent, you got to work your way in the trade game.
Right. And the Patriots are in an awkward position at 14 also, where it's obviously like there are some really, really good players in this draft, some obvious stars, but those guys are going to be taken by the time we get to New England. And so now you're looking at the rest of this crop, which is really good because the Patriots, I mean, as you know, the Patriots don't usually draft at 14. That's not what you're used to. You're used to seeing somewhere between 28 and 32 almost every year. So this is another rare opportunity like they had 2 years ago, and they took advantage of it by getting their franchise guy. I don't care. I don't care what you're thinking, Pats fans. Our franchise guy, QB1, Mac Jones. This is an opportunity for the Patriots to maybe not, they don't need a franchise quarterback or even a kind of that bona fide star, but address a position of need with a really good player and a top 15 player. It's an exciting opportunity.
What was I gonna? I want the record to show that I did not want Mac Jones in this draft when he was drafted.
I know you wanted Parsons, so did I.
I wanted Micah Parsons so bad.
And before, and I also wanted Fields before.
See,
I was so upset when the Bears took Fields. Now, when I realized that we were going to get Mac, I was happy. I really liked Mac in college. Like I watched him at Alabama, and during that national championship game, I was like, God, I want this guy to be a Patriot. But you're right. I mean, who wouldn't want Parsons? But the Cowboys got him, and they're benefiting heavily for him.
The chief of the peeps, Pat Keefe, wanted Lamar. You know what? Let's talk about this a little bit. We have some time. This is a free episode here.
No.
I do not want Lamar when he was drafted. Now I don't know if that's me
being, we had Brady.
That's the thing, but that's on the way out. Like, is that me just being very, hyper focused on, the dynasty? We have this and this, and you're not thinking to the future because you're like, Brady will never leave. He's never gonna leave. Why would he leave?
Yeah.
So at that point, say he doesn't leave. Okay, he played with what, another 5 years? Because Lamar's like, Lamar, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have. So if Brady still plays on the Patriots for those, weird Mickey Mouse Super Bowl years, I feel like it would be a different conversation to me. I don't know. I don't care. It would have been nice, but it just wouldn't have worked to me. I feel like it would have been a little bit better than Cam Newton, but we definitely wouldn't have had a Super Bowl in this time frame.
No, there was so much wrong with the Patriots other than just quarterback. And Frank, and this may sound crazy, but in 2020 and 2022 at least, maybe 2021 they might have had the pieces to get it done, but even then they had some enough issues on defense. Brady is not winning a Super Bowl in 2020 with the roster that we had, all those holdouts, all that stuff as a Patriot. He walked into a roster in the Bucs that was good at every position except quarterback, where they had Jameis Winston, who at the time was really struggling. And you add a good quarterback to you add the all-time best quarterback to a great roster, you win a Super Bowl. You add the all-time best quarterback to a terrible roster, you make the divisional round. And that's what happened in 2019. Brady did everything he could to compensate for how terrible his supporting cast was, but ultimately he was declining a little bit. There was just no supporting cast around him, and they did the best that they could do that season, which was a wild card loss to Tennessee. And you look at 2021, and you look at the fact that we didn't stop the Bills once in the playoffs. There's nothing Brady could have done about that. He could have scored, 4 times, but the Bills scored 7 times. And last year, with that play calling situation, that offensive line, Brady would have been tossed around.
I'm so happy Tom Brady did not play in that. I think we would have had a whole. Oh man, that would have been World War III on the sidelines between Patricia and Tom Brady. Imagine Matt Patricia telling Tom Brady what plays to call on offense.
Brady would have gotten Patricia fired. That's the one difference. Brady would have said, "I'm not dealing with this. Get out." And Kraft would have been like, "All right, fine."
Yeah. Okay. Bye, Matt. I don't care what else.
Assuming Matt Patricia stayed on the entire season, yeah, that wouldn't have worked either. And so, I think it's important to consider that when you're looking at, insert a better quarterback and the Patriots are perfect. Right now, yeah, you could have landed Micah Parsons. You didn't. It's not like they passed up on Micah Parsons. He was picked ahead. And so good on the Cowboys for trading up and getting a player like that. Now, the Patriots still, though, have a great linebacker core. This year, at that time, I think I would have wanted the Patriots to get a linebacker. Right now, I don't feel the need in the first round.
Juwan Bentley's really showed me.
With an edge rusher. We've got Judon. We've got Wise. We're good. And so people are talking about defensive positions, even cornerback. Like, yeah, we could use another corner maybe, and we should get one later in the draft. But Belichick has been the one position where you can say Belichick has always been able to make something out of nothing is corner. He doesn't need star power. Yeah, we did have some star corners over the years. Revis, Aqib Talib, like some of these got, Gilmore, of course. But we also did just fine when each of those players left. And we were able to make names out of guys like Kyle Arrington, Sterling Moore, Malcolm Butler, all these guys that had no pedigree whatsoever. And right now, we've got a good young duo in Marcus and Jack Jones. You've got Jalen Mills. You've got Jonathan Jones. And maybe a fifth name that you pick up in the 3rd or 4th round of the draft. That's a good group. And then as depth pieces, you've got Miles Bryant and Sean Wade kind of there. That's a good enough group.
Miles Bryant should be nowhere near the gridiron.
Right. But you look at him as a number 3 corner and he's terrible. But you look at him as a number 6 corner and it's pretty good.
Not bad.
And this is why, when it comes to the draft, got to address the positions of need.
And I have up here right now. I wanted to go through this because I feel like this would be pretty interesting. Every Patriots draft pick over the past 20 years plus, because I'm going to mention 2001. So like 22 years. From when I was a fandom into your fandom, Soor. So, okay, Bruins scored. Did you hear that?
I did not. I have my TV on mute right now.
Oh, I know. I didn't know if you could hear the banging of the ceiling because that would be an awesome soundbite. Damn it, that would sick. Okay, so back on track. 2001, we drafted a pretty good name, D tackle Richard Seymour, with the 6th overall pick. So that was in this era the highest draft pick I think the Patriots have had since I've been alive was 6. So after that was Daniel Graham at 21, Ty Warren at 13, and we had 2. I didn't know this. We had 2 firsts in 2003.
Wow.
And we took 2 D tackles. Wow, that's a very me move in Madden, Bill. It was Ty Warren and Vince Wilfork. That's pretty good. Ben Watson. Oh no, Vince Wilfork was 2004. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was Wilfork and Watson in 2004.
I like that.
That's a good combo, though.
People forget how good Ben Watson was.
He was such a good tight end. Like that. That's the tight end that Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki need to become. He was a unreal red zone threat.
Yeah.
He was unreal.
Just reliable beyond belief.
Very reliable. That's a good word to describe him. Logan Mankins in 2005 at 32.
Great pick.
Oh, just the worst pick at 21 in 2006.
You know, I think about some of these linemen the Pats used to have. Our current offensive line coach, Adrian Clem, being one of them, by the way. But guys like him, Matt Light, Logan Mankins, Nate Solder, I could go on and on with these great offensive linemen. You've got a couple really bona fide ones right now. David Andrews, Michael Onwenu.
Onwenu's been good.
My list kind of stops there when it comes to unreal Patriots linemen. The rest of them are fine.
Trent Brown
could be good.
Needs to be more, I would say, yeah.
I think Trent Brown in his first Patriots stint was looking like that kind of guy.
Who would have been better last year on the Patriots offensive line? Trent Brown or Omas?
Omas.
Right?
No doubt. Omas needs to be a right tackle, I'm telling you. Nobody's going to move him. Nobody's going to move him. He gets his hands on the defender. They just collapse to the ground. Doesn't matter who it is.
It's reach. It's the reach to me.
Myles Garrett on him. Yeah, Myles Garrett is faster, but Omas will get one hand on him, and Myles Garrett will be down. Done. Play over.
We might have to pitch this idea to Bobby Kraft. How? What Bruins? You're ruining the show.
It's a free episode. We're kind of all over the place right now.
That's fine. That's how the Gazette is. That's how we do it in the Gazette. We're on topic, but
it's a big Boston sports week, guys.
Dude, the Gazette is not just Patriots. That's our baby. But when you're in the fam, you have cousins, you have uncles and aunts. That's what this is. You support your fam. Sam Reinhart. I don't even know who you are. But back to America's favorite football team. I've been kind of pushing this off because Soor, this is a pretty bad one. 2006 with the 21st pick, they took Lawrence Maroney.
That's a hot take.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That's really bad.
I like Lawrence Maroney.
Oh,
I don't think he was worth a first round pick.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nice seeing him in a Pats uniform. He had some good. He was a decent player.
He was decent when he actually hit the gaps instead of running into 3 linemen every other play.
It was like there were moments where there were moments where he reminded me of guys like Ramondre Stevenson, and then there are moments where he reminded me of remember that iconic clip of Trent Richardson where there's this big gap to his left and you just see him running to the right where all this traffic is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Maroney did a lot of that.
Oh, Trent Richardson. I'm putting that name in the group chat. That's a big in fantasy. That was a guy that was big. One guy we were all big on, and it just flopped.
But this is exactly why the Patriots should not consider, say, Bijan Robinson. You can't draft a running back in the first round. anymore. You just can't.
I was watching
They're not
NFL Network.
reliable. They're injury prone.
Yeah.
Their careers are short, and you don't know what they're going to become.
I was watching the NFL Network yesterday. I threw it on the Bezos TV. And as much as I love Cynthia Freeland, I really do like her on the NFL Network. But when she starts talking about the Pats potentially drafting him, the good guy, the kind soul in me is like, you know what? Maybe it's for the show. Maybe I've been in that position where you're on the anchor desk or whatever set you're on, and you're like, listen, we need differing points here. We can't have a show like this where we want to be in agreement and you want to have differing takes for, the banter. If that's the case, fine. Then Cynthia, you did your job and that's amazing and you did it well. But if we're serious about this, okay. If we're serious about this, then come on. Like, there's no reason. You get James Robinson, you have Ramondre Stevenson, Ant-Man is going to be bouncing back up and forth, up and down on the practice squad and main roster. And then who else? We have the two that we drafted last year.
Yeah. We have the fastest running back in last year's draft, who I really think is going to be better this year. And most important, we have our franchise running back. We have Ramondre Stevenson. Don't get me wrong. Bijan Robinson is a good player, very good player. One of the best draft prospects that I've seen, running back prospects that I've seen since Henry. There's a reason that that a lot of teams are considering him for the first round. But a team that has their running back should not be one of them. Especially, you look what happens when a team leans on a franchise running back and puts all this stock in him, and then they get injured. What happens to the Titans every time Derrick Henry gets injured? And it's a lot, as good of a player as Derrick Henry is. And this is my point. The Patriots have this kind of specialty that they're able to keep these reliable running back platoons without ever requiring one player to just go berserk. And they've always kind of had that ability to have like a great duo or trio of running backs that doesn't require a single star. That's not something that needs to change. Running back has not been a problem in New England for a long time.
It's not, because it's one of Bill's better draft strategies is always having someone in the hole, to take a baseball reference.
Right.
Is you got your guy, your star guy or whatever, RB1. But then you have RB2, who could be someone that you either drafted a year or two ago, someone that you just picked up off free agency that, may need that good season, solid stat season to go somewhere else and get a payday. And then you have a rookie. Or you have, in this hopeful case, you're going to have a second-year guy in these two. But you always have someone there to not have to pay that position. It's brilliant. I love how Belichick thinks that out and executes it. I think we can take a break this year. I really think we have two guys. You drafted two last year, so you're going to have the next guy in the hole. It's an assembly line. So keep that going.
Exactly. And if I don't know, if the Patriots were to draft Bijan Robinson, it would remind me of like what the Sox ended up doing when they paid Sale all this money, where Sale's a great player when he's healthy, but how often does that happen? And it ended up being too risky of a move for too little of a reward for too few games. And now, a few injuries later, Sale's not the same guy as he used to be, but he's being paid like he is. And it's the Patriots discovered long before the rest of the league did that running back is not the position to put all your stock in. But now it's time for the Patriots to double down on it. They got it right. They're good at running back.
You've done one thing right over this treacherous 3 years. Okay. You did it. So stay with it and draft an offensive tackle. I know we're going to differ here. Oh, I mean, I'm kind of getting off track because I want to go through all these. So Lawrence Maroney, Brandon Merriweather in 2007 at 24. Gerard Mayo at 10 in 2008.
I didn't know he went 10, but very good pick.
That's a great pick. No pick. We did not have a pick.
You got a player and a coach.
I mean, yeah, when you can get a coach out of a draft pick, you hit the lottery there for sure. 2010, Devin McCourty at 27.
All right. Another fantastic pick.
Nate Solder at 17 in 2011.
Yes.
2012, we had probably two of the best picks in this era.
I know.
Chandler Jones at 21 and Donta Hightower at 25.
Wasn't the 2012 draft also when we got Gronk and Hernandez? Or was that 2011?
2011.
Those are both, I think they were both second rounders.
Yeah.
What a draft.
Jeez, Bill's a wizard. No pick in 2013. Oh, this is where it gets bad. Okay, this is where it gets bad.
Yeah.
Dominique Easley.
Oh,
at 29.
Second worst first round pick that I can think of.
Second worst.
We are tied.
I know. I saw that. I'm trying not to break. I'm not trying to break stride. Nope. Malcolm Brown in 2015. So meh.
Not a good pick.
It's like grocery store ice cream.
Yeah.
Vanilla ice cream. That's the job.
Not the bougie stuff. Not the good stuff. Like the generic brand.
Or Ben and Jerry's. No, none of that.
Drop me on Haagen-Dazs.
Dude, drop for sure. For sure.
Like the best Haagen-Dazs. Like straight out of the factory in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with that. Like sample. And then you just take it. Yeah. 2016-17, no pick. We do not have first round pick. I'm pretty sure.
And well, we made Super Bowls both years. I think we were just fine.
Our draft pick was taken by somebody. Isaiah Wynn and Sony Michel in 2018. So
my God.
That's where it gets really bad. I told you.
Both of them sucked.
Woo! Terrible. Oh God. And here it is. The worst draft pick in the Patriots era since we've been on this planet.
I know what you were gonna say.
God damn. N'Keal motherfucking Harry.
And let's remember that draft pick was bad for two reasons. One, N'Keal's output, but also the opportunity cost. By selecting N'Keal Harry, we didn't select Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown.
So a little antidote here to the champ's personal life. So in college, still doing this shit, been doing this shit since college. One of my boys had his own radio show, and as the NFL guy, fantasy guy in the media suite, he asked me to come on and be the draft guy. He was underclassman, so I was like, yeah, obviously. And he was like, all right, so who do you think the Pats should take at 32? And this was the year where I'm like, Brady needs somebody to keep him here. We're getting to that point. So I'm spitting out, all right, you know what? Give him DK Metcalf. Dude's an athletic freak. Looks like he could be the next Calvin Johnson. Look what he did in the combine. It's fish in a barrel type of pick. And they didn't do that. They agreed with what they should draft, but who we disagreed on. And I think it's fitting that episode was a corrupted file when they went to download it for their podcast. It was only a live radio stream, so at least it got out on some airwaves. But yeah, and then DK Metcalf going to be one of the best receivers in a long time. Chief Keef, he really is built like a super soldier. You could legitimately have trot him out with the Avengers. I could see it.
when I saw that play where he chased down Buda Baker in that Seahawks Cardinals game, it just I wept a little bit inside because I'm like, we could have had this guy.
If anyone asks me why do you hold this? It's because I fucking hold you and I saw into the future, but it was just in a different multiverse.
Remember that Logan Ryan pick six that was Tom Brady's last pass?
I remember it all too well, Soor. Okay.
If it was DK Metcalf, Logan Ryan wouldn't have scored on that play, probably.
No, he would not have. You were right. That you were right. Oh, all right. I have a lot of quarrels about that. Tom Brady's last pass in a Patriots uniform at Gillette Stadium should not be in a pick six to Logan goddamn Ryan.
But who were his receivers? Like, and you look at it, and I do think Brady didn't play a good game, but he was throwing to a version of Julian Edelman who was clearly not the same. If he was a few injuries down the line, right? You had N'Keal Harry, you had Mo Sanu. I mean, what is that? Jacoby Myers, but
that was
it's just not a receiver core you should be surrounding your team with. Anyway, let's finish.
To be honest, man, we got Mac Jones because they didn't have a pick in 2020 because good old traded down to get. Well, here's the thing, though, Soor. Them trading down or trading out of the first round the year after to get Kyle Duggar. Better move. This is why the Patriots do what they do, and you don't say boo.
Well, absolutely. I was thrilled with that pick, but that was offset by what I consider two of the worst draft picks the Patriots have ever made. You contrast a dual tight end round in 2011, round 2, when they selected Hernandez and Gronk, and you contrast it with the third round of 2020 when they selected Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi, both in the third round, who combined for 5 receptions in 3 years as a New England Patriot.
Oh God, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I really blocked that from my memory. That was definitely blocked for a reason. Oh my God.
Well, the moron in me was saying, "Hey, Gronk left. We found a couple tight ends to help replace Gronk.
We found a replacement. Nice. I love it.
Totally.
Oh my God. And then we got Mac Jones obviously the next year, and then Cole Strange last year. So nobody's perfect, Hannah Montana said that once.
Overall, though, you're looking at the whole spectrum things. That's pretty darn good.
That's a pretty good overall. That's what I'm saying. It's a pretty good track.
That's just the first round, and when we know Belichick's real magic is on Friday and Saturday.
He's a weekend player. He's a weekend guy.
I'm expecting this year too.
And that's going through those first rounders. It gives me a little bit of comfort, or at least solace, that I don't know what the word is specifically, but it gives me kind of a warning to not overreact to the first, to the pick. And I'm saying like second, third, fourth. First round, different story, but like when it comes to the later rounds where you're like, oh, who the hell is this guy? Or, oh, where did he go to school? All those types of picks. Just trust it. Look what happened with it. And when it comes to the first round, there's positions that we should stick to, that we've had success. Let's not do a wide receiver. And I know it's going to be talked about that they should take JSN with their pick or trade up for him. Let's be smart. Mac needs to be protected. Get him the biggest dude best dude you can on that line. You finally have an offensive line coordinator or coach, whatever term you want to use, tomato potato. Just do it right. Just do it the Patriot way.
And I hope that Belichick is asking Adrian Clem what he thinks of these guys, because, and I'm sure he is. Clem's a guy that has played under Belichick as well and was a very good offensive lineman when he was there. I think having his input rather than a Patricia will be useful. Maybe the Cole Strange pick was a product of Patricia saying, "Hey, this guy's unreal. Let's draft him in the first round." And Adrian Clem probably would have looked at the same player and said, "This guy's good, but we could probably get him in the second."
Yeah, you need that. You need that type of knowledge to make the right pick. And sometimes you could draft the right player, but it might not be the right pick at that time. It's all about value in this draft, or in the draft in general. It's the 1 year. Every year I say it that we, get a star. It'd be nice to see the Patriots get a star coming out of college. This year, I want the most generic dude I've never heard of from, one of the powerhouse offensive line schools, or even just a powerhouse in itself. I know Peter Skronsky, did I say that right? Skronsky? Yeah. He went to Northwestern. Northwestern's known for having pretty solid offensive linemen. Shout out actually a kid from my rival high school. I don't know if you know his name, Joe Gaziano.
Sounds familiar.
He plays for the Chargers. He went to the rival high school, BC High, and played against us. And that dude is a freak. Northwestern breeds, that whole part of the country just breeds offensive linemen. So let's go shopping.
Yeah, one of two things I want them to do with that pick. Either that, or I'd like them to trade down to 20 or so and get Anton Harrison, who's projected to be around that range, because I think Harrison is just as good.
Yeah, next year we have Harrison. Wouldn't you want one of the coldest wide receivers in NFL history, their offspring, to join Mac Jones? That's when you trade up. Don't trade up this year. Save it.
Absolutely.
I don't get it. Oh, but enough. That's it. We talked a lot of draft stuff.
It's also, one more point I'll make about the draft before we quite leave it. Another reason why we shouldn't get JSN, and this is, you can check out my article on value picks in the late round, but this draft is riddled with wide receivers that are underranked and players that are almost as good, if not as good, as JSN, that should be that the Patriots can get in second, third, fourth, even fifth rounds of the draft. Get that value wide receiver. Get someone who's basically as good as JSN while addressing your main issue first.
Just address it. Just address the main issue. And then we'll wrap up with this question that was left over from Sarah's episode that I just have to ask to end the show. Why is Trace McSorley a Patriot? Like, what? Like, if there was one headline or notification I got over the past however many months that puzzled me, it's this one.
And I sent you a meme about this, I remember. Wrong Cardinal, guys.
It's the wrong Cardinal.
But ultimately, I do think McSorley is just going to be a camp arm. Maybe a little bit of a, they are trying to kind of get under Jones' skin a little bit. This prolonged punishment of him consulting outside of the organization is Basically, they're basically telling him, "Hey, your job's not secure. Like, we're gonna give you a little competition, make things a little interesting. Obviously, you've got Zappy. Now adding this guy into the mix. I don't think he's truly into the mix, but he's a guy that started NFL games before. You might, if you're Belichick, you might tell Jones, like, hey, this guy, I see something in this guy. Let's Belichick will be in his conference like, yeah, not going to commit to one quarterback yet. Trace is good. We drafted him for a reason. Let's we want to consider every guy. That's kind of what we're going to hear from Belichick.
I'm trying to look to see when he was drafted. Oh, he's drafted in the 6th round. Oh, I thought it was okay. All right, I thought it was a little higher than 6, but never mind. I won't even make my point. He's replacing that giant void that Garrett Gilbert left. You damn right, Pat. I forgot the name Gary Gilbert. Gary Gilbert's a great name.
It's a great name. Too bad he's not a great quarterback.
Too bad it doesn't translate over to his play on the field. Oh man, this was fun, and thank God the draft is here, so that next week we can start talking football and not just this picks and whatnot. We can actually get into what this team is going to look like heading into training camp. I cannot wait. I hope they do the right thing, the Patriot way, and do their job. Okay, do your job. And you guys got to do your job too by hitting that subscribe button if you are watching us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, a like on the video, whatever you have to do to spread the name. We're growing this YouTube channel right now. Not only us, but we got Fifth Down Territory, the flagship NFL program. We have Gritty Gamblers, which I'm trying to think of the other ones that are legit live right now. But we got a lot of other shows coming in the works as well. Be on the lookout for that. Subscribe, hit that bell to know when we go live. And then go over to the Twitter machine. Follow us on Twitter at Stadium Rant HQ and at Pat_Pitts and at Soor Bora on Twitter. And then, Soor, I will tease this because it's finally coming together. It's finally coming together. My nonsensical idea of bringing, the virtual world into this podcast. And I finally have time to do it. So I will be kind of teasing that and introducing that next week. So I'm very excited to get that going. A different way, I will say, to not only talk about Patriots football, but also given, I would say another way to compare the current team with who we want and whatnot. Just tune in. You're going to be amused. Trust me, because I did it. That's why you will be entertained. And I think that's everything I got. Oh, Stadium Rant. You got the website. Go check out our website, stadiumrant.com. We got articles coming out every single day, not only Patriots, but every other sport as well. Soor, you've been pumping out articles. You even mentioned on the show that you got one coming out, value picks, right?
Yeah. Value wide receivers specifically.
If that's where I'm going with it.
And with the draft, like if you want draft coverage, look at the endless slew of articles that we've produced in the last month on the draft, and we're not done.
We're not done. Not done yet, baby. Stay tuned. Subscribe everywhere. Follow us everywhere. And also have a great weekend. Go enjoy the draft and go enjoy life. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you next week.